Today from the global lane, Hamas refuses to negotiate the release of hostages and plots another attack against Israeli civilians. The IDF moves in. My interview with the Israeli ambassador to the United Nations, who sends a warning to Hamas.
It is only the beginning. If Hamas will not engage in the negotiations, we will use more power, and we are very serious about it. And I would advise the world to stop with the condemnations. It will not help them. We are committed to bring our boys and girls back home.
Iran gets close to completing a nuclear weapon.
We will do whatever is necessary to make sure that Iran will not have a nuclear bomb.
Western governments prepare to send millions of dollars to Syria's Islamic government after the slaughter of Alawites and Christians.
I have to look at the actions of the regime, not the speeches.
In Pakistan, an unprecedented court move favorable to the Christian minority.
This is just a new day, incredibly exciting and unexpected.
And in the U.S., a constitutional power struggle between the judiciary and Donald Trump. And it's all right here on the global lane. The United States launches attacks against Houthi terrorists following an Israeli airstrike in Gaza that killed 4 senior Hamas leaders. Joining us with more on this and other Middle East developments is Israel's ambassador to the UN, Danny Danon. Mr. Ambassador, it's good to talk with you again. President Trump warned that if Hamas did not release all of the hostages, there would be hell to pay. That's a quote from the president. So is this hell to pay? Is there more to come? I've seen reports that Hamas was amassing forces along the border to launch another attack against civilians in Israel. So what do you think?
We sent a very clear message to Hamas. We are willing to extend the ceasefire, but you have to continue and release more hostages. We have 59 hostages in captivity. Once we saw that there is no progress, and we have waited for 3 weeks, we sent a message. It is only the beginning. If Hamas will not engage in the negotiations, we will use more power, and we are very serious about it. And I would advise the world to stop with the condemnations. It will not help them. We are committed to bring our boys and girls back home.
A lot of Israelis believe that Prime Minister Netanyahu may be giving up on the hostages. What are your thoughts on that? Is he ready to give up on them? There are probably only about 25, 30 remaining that are alive.
Absolutely not. We are not giving up. We are determined to bring them back home and to eliminate Hamas. Those are the goals of the operation, of the war, and we will achieve those goals. It takes us longer because we have to maneuver among civilians. We are trying to minimize civilian casualties, but we are committed. We will show no mercy on our enemies, and Hamas paid the price, but we are determined to finish the job.
So what is the goal after the job is done, after the war? What does a Gaza look like in the future?
So I want to remind you, Gary, that we left Gaza 2005, and we actually told the Palestinians, go ahead, build your own future. We are not there. We took out the communities, we took out the military bases, we went back and we were on the border. And look what happened. Hamas took over and the people of Gaza suffered and we suffered. But we cannot take chances anymore. So I think for the future we can say one thing. We will make sure that we will be safe. Regarding the future of the people of Gaza, hopefully they will be able to find a different way to run their lives, maybe to move to somewhere else, but Hamas will not stay there.
President el-Sisi of Egypt came forward with his own proposal for the future of Gaza, $53 billion reconstruction plan, but that would include the Palestinians remaining in Gaza. What does the Israeli government think of that idea? Do you support it? Do you reject it?
Well, it's not the issue of funding. We saw in the past that, billions of dollars were brought into Gaza. And look what happens there. So it's about vision, leadership, values. If we will continue to glorify Hamas, to glorify violence, there will be no future in Gaza. And I think today what we are lacking is leadership that will condemn terrorism among the Palestinians, not only in Gaza, but also in Judea and Samaria. I haven't heard one Palestinian leader condemning the atrocities of October 7th. The murdering, the raping, the kidnapping, not one condemnation coming from the Palestinian Authority or from any Palestinian leader. So one can ask himself what future you have if you don't have a strong leader who is willing to condemn violence.
Yeah, where's Abu Mazen? I mean, he was opposed to Hamas, and look, he hasn't criticized them at all.
Exactly. He had a chance to make the distinction between Hamas and the moderate Palestinians, and he did exactly the opposite. He endorsed the Palestinians. He celebrated October 7th. That's not acceptable.
On to the Houthis in Iran. U.S., as you know, had this airstrike against the Houthis in Yemen, and President Trump followed that, saying, look, if there's another attack from these Houthis, guess what? Iran, you're accountable for this. There will be dire consequences. What did you think of that reaction from the president?
President Trump is absolutely right. There is no distinction between the Houthis and Iran. They give them the ammunition, they train them, they feed them, they pay them. It's a proxy. So basically, when you target the Houthis, you send a message to the Iranian, don't mess with the US. And we saw the attacks, not against Israel, against US vessels, against military facilities in the region. They are threatening the allies of the US in the Gulf. So I think that the message of the president is the right message. That's the language you have to speak in the Middle East. You have to show strength. And I want to remind you, Gary, we attacked the Houthis in the past. We will continue to do that. But when you look at their capabilities, today they have ballistic missiles that can reach Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. They will be able to develop ballistic missiles that can reach Miami and New York. It's only a matter of time. When you look at the UAVs, they have UAVs that can target Israel and Europe. Give them a few more years, those UAVs can reach the shores of the US. So now is the time to make sure that the Houthis will not have those capabilities.
And this is just a ragtag gang in southern Yemen. So they're getting all this from Iran. How did Iran get it?
But don't underestimate those terrorist groups. We learned the lesson on October 7th. When you have a terrorist group hiding behind civilians and somebody is feeding them with technology and ammunition, sometimes it's more dangerous than a state actor. Because with a state actor, you know how to fight with them. You have military to military. But when you have a terrorist organization hiding behind civilians, it's challenging. It's challenging for us in Gaza. It can be challenging for any other country.
And the biggest challenge, of course, for Israel and the United States, the whole world, as a matter of fact, is the nuclear development that Iran is undertaking. They're very close. Israel's been warning us. I know your prime minister has been warning the world for years. They're getting closer. They're getting closer. They're very close now. President Trump has said, you know, we cannot stand for a nuclear Iran. So what has to be done to stop them?
We have to block them, either with sanctions or with the military, period. You know, this year we mark the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz. And we'll have learned the lessons. When you have a radical leader threatening to destroy nations, you better believe him. And when you look at the regime in Tehran threatening the US and Israel, we believe them. So we are not taking any chances. You know, Israel is a small country with a small military, but we know to punch high. And we will do whatever is necessary to make sure that Iran will not have a nuclear bomb. We believe that it should be the responsibility not only of Israel, but other countries should support us, including the US. But if we will have no choice, we will do whatever is necessary.
Well, the president says everything's on the table. So does Israel support negotiations with Iran, between the United States and Iran, maybe indirect?
We support actions. Actions. If Iran is saying that they don't want a nuclear capability, you know, you can work out a deal. But if they are playing and buying time, that's dangerous. And I want to remind you what happened with North Korea. While they were negotiating with the West for years, they developed the bomb. The Iranians are doing the same. They are buying time in order to move forward. We cannot allow it.
Okay, when we come back, we're going to talk about Syria, Hezbollah, and the United States. Our Israel-Middle East discussion continues now with Israel's ambassador to the United Nations, Danny Danon. Danny, massive fighting between Syria and Hezbollah erupted along the Lebanese border on Monday when the HTS government accused Hezbollah terrorists of killing Syrian soldiers. And at the same time, Israel continues to strike Hezbollah targets in southern Lebanon. So is the conflict broadening and intensifying? What's happening on the northern front?
Well, we have an agreement with Lebanon, and we respect the Lebanese government, we respect the Lebanese people, and they have to be very strong confronting Hezbollah. I think what we are seeing recently, it's a process in the right direction, that they are pushing Hezbollah, but they should continue to do that. We will not allow Hezbollah to regroup and get closer to our border. We hope that the Lebanese military will be more effective, will do whatever is necessary to push Hezbollah away from our border. But once we see a threat, we take actions. That's our policy.
Egypt banned the Muslim Brotherhood. Should Lebanon ban Hezbollah?
It's a little bit more difficult because Hezbollah, they are so involved with the government, unfortunately, in Lebanon. But absolutely, they should push them away from the government. They should push them away from wherever they can influence the military in Lebanon, because they bring chaos to the Lebanese people. And I'm telling to the Lebanese people, we have no dispute with Lebanon. We want to normalize relations with Lebanon in the future, the same way we did with Egypt, with Jordan, UAE, Morocco, Bahrain. We hope Lebanon will be on that list. But for that to happen, they have to be stronger against Hezbollah.
On the issue of Syria, we see this HTS government by al-Jilani, and recently there was this massacre of Alawites, other minorities, including Christians, who got caught in the crossfire there in western Syria. And then recently he just signed a new constitution which imposes Sharia law on the country. And while this is happening in Brussels, we've got the EU, Germany, Switzerland, and even Britain coming together to give money to the al-Jilani government, maybe about $450 million worth.
I think they have to take it slower. They have to slow down. They have to look at the actions of the regime, not the speeches. They have to make sure that the minorities have rights in Syria. We have a commitment to the minorities, for the Druze, for the Kurds. We are trying to do our best to support humanitarian efforts inside Syria. But I'm calling to the international community, be careful. Be careful with this regime. We have seen what they've done in the past. We have seen what they are doing today. So before you lift sanctions or you support them, make sure that they are not using it for the wrong purposes.
And President Trump knows all too well the dangers that Israel faces. $7.4 billion in military sales that he's promised to Israel. New sheriff in town makes a big difference over the Biden administration, don't you think?
We appreciate the support. We appreciate the alliance. We are fighting the war of the American people. It is important to understand. We are fighting evil. Those radicals, they are coming against us because we are in the front line, but they don't support the U.S. They call for the destruction of the U.S. We happen to be first in line, so we are the one pushing back, but they are coming against the U.S. We will continue to do that, and we have a strong alliance with the U.S. We share the same values, the same principles, and the same enemies. So we are together in this fight.
One of our closest allies, not only in the Middle East, but in the world. And finally, on that, you have a lot of support from evangelical Christians in this country and others from the country as a whole. And many of them, Catholics, Protestants, want to travel to Israel for Easter pilgrimage. Is it safe for them?
It is safe. When you watch the news and you see that we are resuming our efforts to release the hostages in Gaza, you feel that it's a war zone, but it's not. When you land in the airport in Tel Aviv, it's beautiful, it's a great place to be, and I encourage our friends to come and visit us, and I want to thank them for praying for us. We will prevail. We are paying a heavy price. It's a long war, but at the end of the day, we will prevail.
Well, Mr. Ambassador, thank you for joining us here today at CBN, for us joining us on this program. May God bless you and God bless Israel.
Thank you. God bless you, guys.
Fearless judges in the line of fire in Pakistan. An unprecedented ruling in Punjab involving forced conversion and child brides. After she was abducted at the age of 11 and experienced years of torment, a court has ruled that the forced marriage of Shahida Bibi is annulled. she can return to her family and her official identity as a Christian is restored. Joining us with more is International Christian Concern President Jeff King. Jeff, this is truly a historic ruling for Pakistan, its Christian minority there. Explain what happened to Shahida Bibi.
Yeah, Shahida was abducted at 11. Her mother eloped with a married man. Her mother, a Christian, eloped with a Muslim man. And then he gave 11-year-old Shahida to his brother. Not her choice, forced marriage. And she is one of so many. She's just the face of thousands of these girls. And oftentimes they're taken from the street. If their parents complain, they often know who the abductor is. If the parents complain, they're beaten by the police. Court doesn't do anything. So this is just a new day, incredibly exciting and unexpected.
Well, child marriage is banned in Pakistan, yet Christian girls are being abducted, as you say, forced into marriage and conversion to Islam. So how common is this practice, and why does it still occur despite the law?
That's a great question. So, I mean, this has gone on for the long, since Islam arrived. And basically, it's the culture and the culture overriding the Constitution. So, you know, the laws exist on the books, but unless there's the will of the politicians and the police, nothing's going to happen. So I think that's really the difference. The High Court, as you said in the intro, they're really courageous to pull this off, because this will put them in the literal crosshairs of the radicals. So what a day.
Yeah, it is. And the European Union apparently warned Pakistan about losing trade if it didn't stop and do more to prevent this. So how likely is it that this case will set a precedent now, Jeff, the start of change in Pakistan?
I wouldn't expect that it changes overnight, but this is a real break from the past. And now there are laws, and that will filter down. So again, it existed at a constitutional level. Now it's filtering down. And so over time, we're probably going to see more of these. They've broken the dam. They're probably signaling like we're going to take care of these cases like this from now on. So that will filter down. It'll take time, but thousands of girls are out there. And as you know, just horrendous treatment, oftentimes drugged, raped, beaten, and then they become like maids in their new family and the makers of babies.
And it brings dishonor to their family. So they, a lot of times, if they're kidnapped and raped, then it brings dishonor and shame to their family. So they'll go ahead and convert and marry forcibly to restore honor. I mean, that's what they think in their culture. But I want to ask you, even though this is good news, this ruling for Christians, other minority women being abducted as children and forced into marriage and conversion, we still have an archaic blasphemy law in the books in Pakistan that unfairly imprisons Christians and other Muslims. And we're seeing some movement there or not? What are the courts and government doing about abolishing that?
It's moving at a glacial pace, but it is moving. But if this puts them in the crosshairs, if you go against the blasphemy laws, I mean, judges have been killed before, politicians. So really dangerous. You know, the judges are Western educated. The high-level judges are Western educated. They're moderates. They don't want to see either of these types of cases existing. But it really takes a courageous one to move forward, because, again, they might be assassinated. It's happened in the past.
Jeff, quickly, then we've got about 30 seconds. Jeff, quickly, then we've got about 30 seconds. So how can Christians here in America pray about Pakistan? What should they pray?
Well, as always, just, you know, for our brothers and sisters, if one part suffers, we all suffer. But also that they would just be courageous and not take on a beaten down attitude, that the gospel, it would be agents of the gospel, and it would go forth. Okay, Jeff King, President of International Christian Concern. As always, Jeff, we appreciate you staying on top of these cases, and we thank you for your insights and for joining us today. Gary, thanks for all your work on the topic of persecution.
Donald Trump's opponents failed to defeat him at the ballot box last November. So now they're enlisting the help of political activist judges to thwart his agenda. They've searched high and low for the right judge and the right court to make rulings that block his executive actions. What they fail to realize is that Trump's agenda aligns with America's agenda. Unlike Joe Biden in 2020, voters knew what they were getting when they chose Trump. He ran a transparent campaign, and now he leads a transparent presidency. What you see and hear is what you get. The Democratic Party is in disarray, and a recent NBC poll found that only 27% of registered voters view Democrats favorably. Another poll by CNN gave Democrats only a 29% favorability rating. These are record low approval numbers for Democrats, which reveals what voters are feeling. They do not want Trump's actions blocked. They do not approve of the leftist policies advanced by the Biden administration. Americans want transformation in both government and culture. What Democrats fail to accomplish legislatively, they attempt to achieve through the judicial branch of government. At least 127 lawsuits have been filed against the Trump administration since he took office just 60 days ago. This may be a historic record. One of the most recent cases concerned the deportation of Venezuelan Tren de Aragua gang members.
I can tell you this, these were bad people. That was a bad group of, as I say, hombres.
Trump based the deportation of gang members without due process on the rarely used Alien Enemies Act of 1798. A federal court judge in D.C., James Boasberg, ordered the planes to turn around, but the Trump administration argued they were already in international airspace when the order was issued. Did the administration defy a federal court order?
We are not saying at this point that the government defied the court order, but we are saying there are serious reasons to potentially think that they did.
I never did defy a court order.
And you wouldn't in the future?
No, you can't do that. However, we have bad judges. We have very bad judges.
Border Czar Tom Homan suggested that no one can stop the illegal immigration deportation efforts from moving forward.
We're not stopping. I don't care what the judges think. I don't care what the left thinks. We're coming.
Folks, brace yourselves. This is just the beginning of a significant constitutional power struggle between the judicial and executive branches of our government. I have a feeling the U.S. Supreme Court will have its hands full. Well, that's it today from the Global Lane. Until next time, be blessed.